governments have huge amounts of cash and investments on hand at the end of the fiscal year. And somehow, this cash and investments are not being recycled back to the budget process the next year, but are being held year after year, and the income and amounts keep increasing. That's what we're talking about here. That's the big picture right there. And according to CAFR man here, using elementary economic principles found in every Economic 101 textbook, after 1 year, the refunds, sending them back to you, the Texan, turn into total benefits of $4,772 per person, or $19,090 for a family of 4, and much more. I wonder why you came to Kinsmead, huh? And then he talks about what Alan Greenspan, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, has to say about surpluses. Quote, this is in 1999, Alan Greenspan said this: "I'm of the old fiscal school that you raise revenues for basic government purposes, and if you don't have those purposes, you give the money back or you don't tax it. My experience is that private rates of return are significantly higher than the government rates of return." What did he say? If a government collects too much from the people, the government should give it back. It's better to let the private sector have the money than the government. Yeah. We believe that the state-invested potential surpluses should be in the people's investment portfolio and not held and invested by the government. Yeah, I think you probably believe that too. Of course, you didn't even know about any of this before I was talking about it, so it's a shock to you, huh? I mean, wouldn't you like to get like a $700 rebate on your income taxes? Because, I mean, on your sales taxes in the state of Texas? Here, have $700. Wow, well, we didn't need it. That would be the honest thing to do. All right, let's see what else we got here. A good summary. Again, a review of Texas' 1999 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, CAFR, a federal mandated annual report, has disclosed that Texas has approximately $46.33 billion in potential surpluses of the taxpayers' money that the state is not using. This equals $2,296 for every man, woman, and child per capita in Texas, or $9,185 for a family of 4. However, if these potential surpluses were returned to the people, the total benefits because of the economic impact of returning those potential surpluses would be $4,772 per capita, or $19,090 for a family of 4. What he's talking about is putting the money to good use. You know, people go out and spend it, and the economy generates more jobs, the whole 9 yards like that, rather than the government sitting on it. Does it surprise you to know that according to the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report of the state of Texas, that the government at the end of 1999 had $175 billion in investments? I mean, this is ridiculous. And the CAFR man claims 83,000 entities are doing this, whereas Burien says about 54,000. What's the potential? You know, he talks about, here's the part about Jesse Ventura. Here's the actual numbers. Let's see. The new governor of Minnesota, Governor Jesse the Mind Ventura, in his first 6 months in office, returned $1.3 billion, or an average of $700 to $800 per family. This is why our criteria of $4,000 for a family of 4 is considered huge. The economic impact of returning these surpluses are tremendous and will be explained in economic impact analysis, where he gets into some bean counting, which is beyond me. And then he has a chart of some of the states nationwide here. We're talking about some of the states that could, if you looked at their reports, how much money they could give back to their people. Some of these states are really, well, you know, I guess Texas is relatively not so bad. You know, Texas is only holding $2,300 of your money that is really yours and they don't need. You, as an individual. It says right here that, let's see, who's got more? Let's see. Ohio is holding 4,000. You know, so we're not up there at the top. I mean, the state of Florida, along with Marion County, if you live in Marion County and see what they're stealing from their people, and then you look at what Florida's stealing from their people, the whole state, and you add it together, $3,750 of the poor people who live in Marion County, they're just sitting on their money. Wouldn't you like to have that back, you know? And here we have some philosophy here. Communism is when the state government owns and controls all the wealth of a nation, and the special elite decide on how the wealth will be distributed among the people. State and local governments are allowed to accumulate massive amounts of the people's wealth, which are then invested in the capitalistic society. Eventually, these governments and those that control the governments will own and control all the wealth in a capitalistic society. And I would like to add to that, myself, a little comment, that Cecil Rhodes, the great one-worlder from the turn of the century, in his writings, said that we needed to create a society of the elect in this world where English people would eventually absorb the wealth of the world into the hands of an elect, and they could run the whole show. Seems to me like this is a vehicle for doing just that. Every year they're socking it away, and every year, hey, you know, you're taking it in the shorts, and you don't even know it because your friends in the press aren't doing their job. And of course, the bigger picture, why aren't your friends in the press doing their job? Because they're part of the problem. Because they're owned by the same people who run the government. And if you, I'll bet you, watch this, here's a dare, I will bet you that Gary Susswine here of the Austin American Statesman, this financial reporter dude, who you could contact at G. Susswine, that's G-S-U-S-S-W-E-I-N, at statesman.com, G. Susswine, G-S-U-S-S-W-E-I-N, at statesman.com, or you could call him at 445-3654. I will bet you that if he does look into this stuff I've shown to him, told him about the CAFR Man website, all that, he does look into it, and he goes to his editors and says, hey, he will have two choices. Either shut up or be fired. Because you don't talk about this to the sheep out there, because they enjoy being shorn. I will bet you not a word of what I'm talking about ever appears in the Austin American Statesman. Now, there you go. Let's just see if the Austin American Statesman runs with this. Of course they're not going to run with it. They're going to tell you that the state's been screwing you for years and years and years, and they don't even need to tax you, and that and you could be richer just from the elimination of the sales tax alone, about $660 a year. Family of four, what is that? $2,600, whatever. I mean, that's a lot of money to a little old peon like you, isn't it? I mean, they're not going to talk about this. They're going to continue to print articles that tell you that the state's rainy day fund is short of its goals. And oh, that's just terrible. We don't have enough money to save. We only have $84 million. What is that? Let's see now. They made $25.8 billion. And they're short. They only got $84 million in their fund. I mean, I think that's a factor of like 30, I don't know, 300 times, something like that. I mean, it's a joke. It's an absolute joke. John, you want to put up the phone call number? Maybe we can take a few phone calls latter part of the show, see if this thing's working. The number is 477-2288. If you'd like to comment on this, 477-2288. I see one came in already. Let me grab him here. Hello. Caller, can you hear me? Uh-oh. He's on the air, John, but I can't hear him. Caller, are you there? Hello? Hello? Or you want to see? Okay, caller. Okay, he's online too now. Let's try that. All right. Okay, we got. Hello, caller. Can you turn? Is your TV on?
Yeah, the TV's on.
Okay, see if you can turn it down because we're
Now
getting
it's
feedback.
off.
Okay, well, John, we're still getting a big buzz in
I
here.
still have a huge buzz.
Yeah, I know. I can hear it too.
Should I hang up and call back?
No, let's see if we can. John, can you fix that in there somehow? Oh.
I'm working on it, Bob.
No? Say what?
I'm working on it.
He's working
on it.
He's working on it. Hang on. We're going to see if we got technical difficulties. I told you we didn't have any budget here on the Simple Truth. There we go.
Ah.
Oh. Hey, he fixed it.
Oh, my ear needs fixing now.
Yeah, mine too. What do you, welcome to the Simple Truth. What do you have on your mind?
Hey, I'm a teacher.
Hey, you're getting.
Go get your money.
You're getting tattooed, lady.
I know it. I'm getting tattooed in more than one area of my body. I can tell you that.
What I've said to you, I don't expect that you would just like believe this, because it's so bizarre. But you can literally go down to the comptroller's office and get this report yourself. Okay, the feedback's coming back, John. This report is available to you, and it says in the report that the state of Texas spent $12.6 billion on education. Now I know teacher salaries is probably a real big chunk of that, but there's land, right? And there's utility bills, and there's accounting there's lots of other expenses other than just teacher salaries.
Yeah.
So I don't know what teacher salaries is relative to that.
Well, I know what they're doing is really strange. The thing that gets me is that there was a surplus in my district of money because I work, I guess, in a wealthy district, and so they implemented the Robin Hood principle.
Oh yeah,
which doesn't bother me, but
yeah.
It doesn't bother me that in order to make schools equal across the state of Texas, so that they can put in computers and technology and all that in classes, does not bother me at all. But I go to these poor schools. And I don't see the technology. I see it in a few schools, but I don't see it. I know for one thing, in my classroom, I don't have the minimum that the state requires for my class.
Well, that's because apparently that all these school districts are doing the same thing as Texas does. They got investment pools too, and they keep it off the budget. Well, it's there, the money's there, but they don't talk about it.
Well, here's a gripe session for you. I don't mean to constantly complain, but I was just watching the board the other day, and I've been teaching 10 years, and my salary is just now about $36,000. In San Antonio, somebody who's been teaching 10 years makes $45,000. So there's a discrepancy right there. There should not be discrepancies like that in the state of Texas among big towns.
But see, they can't afford to pay you anymore because they don't have enough money. They don't have
enough.
You know
what? I was watching the school board the other day, and what really made me mad is that our superintendent, I don't think he works 10 times harder than I do, but he makes 7 times my salary, and the numbers. And if education is about teachers and students and learning, then why do the numbers of administrators just about outnumber, and all their salaries certainly are much higher than all the teachers?
Well, according to John, can you do something again with that feedback? It's still kind of screaming.
I'm still trying to tweak this.
Still trying to tweak it? According to the people that are involved in this CAFR thing, it's part of the scam that if you're high level in the government, you get to rake off all this money. You get all these benefits and all these bennies, and the rest of us are basically like a little sheep being shorn.
I'm definitely a sheep. I mean, they took my salary. I've been teaching 10 years. I make $36,000. Okay. Well, my husband came in to teach about 3 years ago, and they've had such a rise in the beginning of the salaries, which needed to be raised as well. But the raises for the beginning of the salary scale were so high that now that I've been teaching 10 years and my husband's teaching 3 years, he only brings home $200 a month less than I do.
Well, there you go. You've been in. See there, that's another problem. But now, do y'all have any kids?
No.
Yeah, there's 2 of you.
Well, I mean, I did have, but they're grown.
Okay. Well, there's 2 of you. So if the state was to give you back just the sales tax money that you paid last year, let's see, $660 times 2, you could have got an extra $1,300 just right there.
Yeah. So
You know?
so would my superintendent, who now earns almost 10 times as much as I do. He earns. I saw the salary schedule for him, and the first year that he's in office there, or as superintendent, he's earning $210,000 a year, and within the first year, he will get a 20% he will get a 10% raise. We get 6% raises, and they're
Well,
not guaranteed. But he's guaranteed in his contract that over the next 4 years that he will go from $210,000 a year to $235,000 a year. So
well,
that would equate it to like a 10% raise.
basically that's the equivalent of what happens in those big companies where, like the guys at the very top, the chief executives, they get all these big, humongous bonus packages and all that stuff, and the workers don't. Of course, there's an economic thing there about somebody with an unusual talent where he actually have the education and talent and skill to run, a school district or whatever, versus a teacher who's theoretically doesn't have all that. That's another issue entirely. But the point is that you, as a teacher, you've been told, well, we can't really afford to give you a raise or anything like that, or maybe just a small one. The fact of the matter is they don't want to afford it. I mean, the figures that I read, 12.6 billion spent on education by the state of Texas. Now, come on, that's just the state of Texas. That's not the Austin Independent School District. That's not any other independent school district. They're all doing this, and just the state of Texas, if they were to take 5% of what they pocketed last year, they could have given the teachers a humongous pay raise. Even though I know your money probably comes, what does it come from, the state or from the school district? What does the check say on it?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
What does the check say that you get? Who is actually the entity that pays you?
School board.
Okay, so yeah, local. The state could throw a big 10 or 20% on there, wouldn't even phase them, wouldn't even touch them.
I realize that.
And the point is that you're being lied to. That's the point.
But here's another thing. I must be in the dark, because my husband was raised in Long Island, and when he was growing up there, he had the opportunity to go over to Washington and visit all the buildings, and he knew more about politics than I ever did.
Mm-hmm.
And so recently, within the last year or two, we went to the Capitol, and we were walking around, and I thought, oh look, my initial reaction to all that huge hole in the ground they dug to make all those wonderful, beautiful offices for people to go to work in there.
Right in front of the state capitol.
I was walking around thinking, oh, look how beautiful this is, and then all of a sudden it hit me. Oh my God! Just not even 4 blocks from here on the east side of Austin are people so poor that they're living in condemned buildings. 16 probably people in one of these buildings that I know of myself because I went there, to visit a student and to take something to a student. And it's just so awesome. I don't remember voting on spending so many tax dollars to make beautiful offices underground at the state capitol for that renovation. I don't remember them asking me if I wanted to do that.
Well,
they didn't ask me. They just took our money, and that's what they did.
Just stay on the treadmill and shut up. That's just do your thing, But I mean, what the show is about tonight, this afternoon, is I wanted to appeal to teachers. I was hoping a teacher or two would be watching, because when you see that your state is growing its asset base in a way that you can't even comprehend, and you don't even know about it, that should really upset you.
Well, when they take my money and they invest it in, say, the Xerox Corporation, and I don't have any money left over to invest in the Xerox Corporation myself, that pisses me off.
Well, it should. It very well should, because...
And you know what? It makes me want to get everybody I know, and then some. And it makes me want to start a neighborhood organization where I repeat all this, and we have a march on the Capitol. It makes me want to have tens of thousands of people who know and will not. I don't want to overthrow our government. I just want to get rid of those buttholes that are doing this with our money.
You ought to be marching on the press, because they know this and they won't report it. See,
the days you have your march, call her. Just let us know. We'll air it. And what we're going to do is we're going to print you up a sales tax exempt badge because you're a teacher, and you just tell them the simple truth. Said you're exempt from sales tax from now on.
Well, we all ought to be exempt from the tax. But again, get this report. I mean, earlier on the show, I read how you get it. You can write the Comptroller of Public Accounts, Fund Accounting, 111 East 17th Street, Austin, Texas, 78774-0100, and you can see for yourself that I am not lying to you. The state of Texas is growing its bottom line by leaps and bounds.
Well, then why don't... Okay, I understand. I'm busy. They keep me on the treadmill. Okay, I'm busy. I just got home not too long ago, and I've been gone since 6:30 this morning. Okay, I put in my time. Now, I can't just run down there and get, like many people, just keep an eye on what they're doing. But, if we don't get together and form groups that will actually contribute money and pay someone a salary to do this for us, even if it's neighborhood by neighborhood, then they're always going to get away with this. But see, I'm ready to overthrow the government. I really am. I'm becoming so radical that I could just go down there and start slapping faces.
Well, don't do anything violent now.
Well, I don't want to get violent, but it makes me mad.
We're all peaceniks here, man, far out. I mean, the thing is that what we're trying to do is give the information out. That's what our job is, because we are the free press. The Simple Truth, this little show with no budget and 2 people doing it, Alex Jones, people like that. We're the free press. WorldNet Daily newspaper, a lot of the internet newspapers.
We need to give Alex some Valium.
Well, Alex is he's a high-strung guy, and he's young.
He is very high-strung.
But the thing is, he's mad. He sees this, and it's going around everybody's face, and we're all just walking around like zombies.
Well, I just recently, I was commuting to Austin, and I just recently moved here to cut the drive down, and we don't get this where I was living. We don't have this kind of cable, and when I came here, I kept thinking, look at these radical people. Oh, my God. Oh. And now I'm one of you, only I'm much more radical, and I'm fixing to do something because it really makes me mad.
Educate yourself and confirm what I'm talking about. Educate yourself, and then, educate others.
Well, the thing that bothers me is that I don't think we have much time left. I really have this deep-seated feeling that we don't have much time. That time is of the essence, and I'm just not sure if there's enough time to get enough people together to actually even do a march in the name of something like this, or a cause like this.
Listen, caller, they're going to be stealing from us through taxes 5 years from now and 10 years from now. So as soon as you can get it together, it'll be on time.
Remember what I said. They've got us on a treadmill, and they're sucking off a large percentage of our energy. They want to keep that up.
Well, I just recently learned that there's a new currency out there, and first of all, I'm going to check it out because I just can't believe that it's legal for someone to start, even if it is backed by gold and silver, that the government would actually let someone have a license to print new money.
Yeah, that's the Norfed currency, which is silver-backed.
Well, that's an answer, because even if you start a small community of businesses and people who will accept that currency, you've got it made. If you can get food and you can get shelter and you can get medical care based on a new currency
if anybody
backed by gold and silver that the government doesn't accept right now, then you have a chance of building something that's real.
If you're interested in learning more about that, I can give you a website to go to.
Well, I went to their website, but they don't actually, I kept searching for the answer as to how they're actually licensed to do this so that I could feel like, it was all legitimate, just not take their word for it. But
I don't know enough about it specifically. We had Chris Athanas on the show last year, who was a Norfed proponent, and I haven't done enough research on it where I really understand it or I'm comfortable with it. But the concept is valid. The money that we have now is completely bogus money. It's fiat money.
Exactly.
It works because we all accept it. But the fact of the matter is that the Federal Reserve is not federal, and there aren't any reserves.
That's exactly right. And my daddy, who's deceased now, he would have been in his 80s now, early 80s, and he told me 30 or 40 years ago that the Federal Reserve money was just a bogus money, and that there was nothing there to back it up with, and that it was a government plot to own the people.
That was Roosevelt. He helped do that. I mean, he's the one that confiscated everyone's gold. It's funny. People that talk about gold bugs, think like you're some kind of a weirdo, a gold bug, some kind of a nut, or what you're just talking about, some antiquated system. Well, okay, maybe so, maybe not. But ask yourself this question: why in 1930s America was a free American, a free man, a free woman, an independent individual denied the right to own a hunk of metal? How could they pass a law making it illegal back then?
I think that I remember my dad saying something about the fact that there weren't enough gold and silver reserves in the United States to back up all the money that they were needing, that they were printing.
Well, that's too bad. They got it all and they shipped it all to Europe is what they did. They rounded up all those coins and they shipped them to their banker buddies in Europe. And I mean, it's a scam. The Federal Reserve is a scam, and it's unfortunate. I mean, it works, it does work, but one of the things it works to do is rob you of your earnings, because they didn't have any inflation to speak of before they started this Federal Reserve System. And after the Federal Reserve System got going, guess what? Bang, the dollar since 1935 has lost about 92 or 93% of its value, whereas in the 100 years before that, it didn't lose any of its value.
Well, actually, I think it buys less now than it did when gold was the coin with the emperors, the czars stamped on it.
So it's an interesting issue, and the whole Federal Reserve thing. But I don't know, it's just one of those many issues we talk about and we've covered before. But back to this specific issue tonight, this thing about the CAFR. I mean, you're a teacher, and did you know that the state grew its bottom line by $25.8 billion from 1998 to 1999? Did you know that?
That they did what?
That they grew their bottom line. Their bottom line, their value of the state by almost $26 billion when they had a budget of about $40 billion. So they another 50 or some odd percent, 60 more percent they had, and they didn't even tell you about it. And
they didn't give it back.
And they didn't give it back.
And isn't it illegal for them to go and buy something in the private sector? Isn't it illegal for a government to get involved in big business?
Maybe no. It's not.
Well, obviously it's not.
Obviously it's not, because they own 70 some odd percent of Xerox. The government, all of its various